So today, we are looking at a very serious issue coming out of the Northeast. And honestly, this one has been shaking tables because it touches security, money, trust, and government decisions. Before we go deep, please, if you are watching, remember to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of our updates. Now let's get into it. There has been a lot of talk about what the government is doing with people described as repentant fighters from the insurgency in the Northeast. For years, Borno State has been running a rehabilitation and reintegration program where people who surrendered or were captured during the conflict go through training, counseling, and different levels of evaluation. The state government has spent a lot of money on this program, and the figure people keep talking about is over 6 billion naira spent on welfare, feeding, training, and other costs attached to these individuals. Many people have asked why such a huge amount is going into this program and whether the outcomes justify this spending. Before we go further, please tap the like button and subscribe because this gist is long and important. Now, one of the major concerns people have been raising is the fear that some of these individuals might end up joining the Nigerian military, even though the government, especially from past statements, explained that there has never been an official plan to absorb repentant fighters into the armed forces. The rumor has continued, and that rumor is what the headline is trying to play on. People worry that individuals who once fought against the state should not be put in positions where they have access to weapons, strategies, or military intelligence. Even some soldiers serving on the front lines have voiced fears that not everyone who claims to be repentant is truly ready to drop violence behind. In recent times, the federal government under President Tinubu has been more firm in clarifying that there is no plan to allow these individuals into the military at all. In simple terms, the government is saying there is no recruitment, no absorption, no training for them inside the army. This is what some people are calling the government cancelling the idea. Even though officially no program like that existed, the announcement is more like a reassurance to calm the public and protect the integrity of the armed forces. Before I continue, if you're following this story and you appreciate the breakdown, please like this video and subscribe so more people can join us. The bigger issue here is trust. You have a state spending billions on rehabilitating people who once held guns against innocent communities. You have families who lost loved ones. You have communities that were destroyed. Now, these same communities are being asked to accept these individuals back. Government claims the process includes heavy screening and security checks, but the people on the ground, the ones living in those communities, still carry pain, fear, and trauma. It's very understandable. Rehabilitation and reintegration is not only about money, it's also about healing and convincing people that there is no risk. Some people feel the program is helpful, others feel it is too risky. It's a sensitive balance. Please, if you are watching, remember to like and subscribe so you keep getting updates like this. Another angle that causes reactions is the amount of money involved. Over 6 billion naira is no small thing, especially in a country where there are many challenges like unemployment, low income, insecurity, lack of school facilities, and so on. People ask, should we spend this much rehabilitating former fighters when innocent victims are still struggling? Should there be equal investment in rebuilding communities, supporting families, and helping displaced people return home? These questions continue to rise every day. But on the other side, government defenders say reintegration is actually cheaper and safer in the long run than letting these fighters remain in the bush, regroup, or join other violent groups. They say the program helps break the cycle of violence and gives the country a chance for long-term peace. They also point out that international organizations support reintegration in conflict zones because it helps reduce the number of active fighters. Still, the disagreement continues because people want transparency. They want to know exactly who is being reintegrated, how the money is being used, and whether the program is actually reducing violence. One major fear people continue to talk about is security. There are claims that some repentant fighters may have passed information to their former group after reintegration. Whether this is true or not, The fear alone is enough to make the public uncomfortable. When you mix a sensitive issue like insurgency with billions of naira and conflicting stories, naturally people will question everything. It's very normal. If you're still with me, kindly like this video and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and ensures this kind of breakdown reaches more people. This whole situation raises deeper questions about how Nigeria handles peace after conflict. What do we do with people who surrender? Do we lock them up forever? Do we give them a second chance? Do we trust that they have changed? And how do we protect communities while still trying to end the war? These are big questions with no simple answers. Another emotional layer to the story is the communities. Many communities in Borno and surrounding areas lost parents, children, homes, farmlands. Some communities were wiped out, so when government brings the repentant fighters back and says, accept them, it's not easy. Healing takes time. Trust takes time. And when people hear about billions being spent on welfare for these fighters, some feel like victims are being forgotten. Others feel like the state is doing what it must to stop the violence permanently. This debate divides opinions. Now, talking about the rumor of making them join the military, that rumor has always existed because people saw pictures and videos of large groups wearing uniforms and thought they were joining the army. But the truth is that many of those clips were actually civilian task force members, not former insurgents. The government at that time also clarified it. But the rumor returned again and again because people truly feared the possibility. So when this new headline claims the government cancelled such an idea, it simply plays into that old fear. It makes people think the government had a plan but suddenly stopped it because of pressure. Whether that is accurate or not, it gets people emotional, and that is why the story is trending. Before we continue deeper, please tap like and subscribe. This support helps me bring you big stories in simple English without drama or confusion. For many viewers, the biggest shock remains the money. 6 billion naira within about 18 months. The rehabilitation program includes feeding, medical care accommodation, training, counseling, monitoring, and different levels of community reintegration. These things cost money, but people still ask if the scale of spending is realistic. Should there be more accountability? Should the public see detailed reports? Many Nigerians believe transparency will help calm tension. The government at the federal level is also trying to assure citizens that the national military is protected. The message is simple. No repentant fighter is joining the army, and no such plan exists. They want soldiers to trust the system. They want the public to trust national security. And they want foreign partners to know that Nigeria is serious about controlling who has access to the military. That reassurance is important because morale is key. If soldiers on the front line start to doubt the government, operations weaken. If the public loses trust, fear rises. So the government is trying to stabilize the narrative and remove confusion. At this point, I want you watching to like this video and subscribe because I'm about to go into the long-term effects of this decision and why it matters to every Nigerian. Long-term, the real challenge is peace. Nigeria wants a future where no child grows up near violence, no family is displaced, and no community lives in fear. Reintegration is one tool governments use to reduce violence, but it must be done properly. If done well, it brings peace. If done poorly, it creates more problems. For example, if someone pretends to be repentant just to get money or protection, that is a risk. If someone truly wants peace and a new life, that is a gain. The difficulty is telling the difference. This is why people continue to shout for transparency, proper screening, and accountability. Also, some NGOs believe reintegration is cheaper and safer than keeping thousands of fighters in detention, but others believe victims deserve equal or more investment. Both sides raise strong points. This is why the conversation continues. Before I go on, kindly like this video and subscribe. Your support encourages long-form analysis like this. So right now, one thing people are really debating is whether the reintegration program should continue in its current form. Some people feel the money could be redirected to victims, schools, or rebuilding destroyed communities. Others feel if the program stops suddenly, it could push some surrendered fighters back into the forest out of frustration, and that would bring more danger. It's a complicated situation where both sides have genuine concerns. The truth is that conflict recovery always comes with tough choices because human lives are involved on all sides. You have the government trying to close the chapter on a long war. You have victims and families who still carry pain. You have communities that want peace but fear betrayal. And you have former fighters who surrendered because they were tired, afraid, or confused and are now trying to start again. Bringing all these groups together is very difficult, and that is why the story is so sensitive. Another angle that keeps coming up is trust in leadership. When people hear that billions are being spent, naturally they start asking for receipts. They want to know how many people are in the program. What exactly is each person receiving? How are they being screened? What result has the money produced? These questions are valid because transparency builds confidence. Without transparency, rumors grow easily. One of the biggest concerns many Nigerians have shared is the fear that some individuals may pretend to surrender just to gain access to communities again. Even though the government says the process has stages, including security interviews and psychological assessments, people still worry about loopholes. When dealing with a group that caused massive harm, even a small mistake can become a big risk. And that's why the government is strongly pushing the message that none of these individuals will be joining the Nigerian military. They know that fear is one of the main things making people uncomfortable with the program. Imagine someone who once attacked soldiers suddenly wearing the same uniform as them. Even the idea alone can shake confidence. So the government distancing itself from that rumor is their way of calming people down. Please, if you're still following, kindly like this video and subscribe so this message can reach more viewers. Now, the emotional side of this story cannot be ignored. People in the Northeast have experienced things that many Nigerians in other parts of the country may never fully understand. Entire villages destroyed, children separated from parents, schools burned, markets closed, people living in camps for years. For them, the idea of welcoming back former fighters is extremely hard. It's not something you can fix with just money or government speeches. When you have lived through fear for so long, healing is slow. Even as we talk about 6 billion naira spent, there are victims who still lack access to clean water, stable shelter, or proper schooling for their children. Many Nigerians look at that contrast and feel it is unfair. They want a system where victims are given top priority. They are not against peace or second chances, but they want fairness, balance, and protection. However, security experts have said something important. If reintegration is handled well, it actually helps to reduce the number of active fighters faster. When one person surrenders, it can encourage others to surrender too. It reduces violence over time. But this only works if the program is properly managed, with strict screening and community involvement. Otherwise, it can produce the opposite result. Please remember to like this video and subscribe as we continue. Let's take this slow and make sure everyone understands every part. One thing the government will need to do moving forward is rebuild trust, not only with the citizens in the Northeast, but also with Nigerians everywhere who want clarity about how the insurgency is being handled. We need clear reports, we need community feedback, we need proper tracking of results. When people know the truth, it reduces fear. But when people feel like information is hidden, they fill the gaps with assumptions. Another thing the government needs to consider is balancing the reintegration program with strong support for victims. If victims see that they are being supported equally, they may be more open to accepting rehabilitated individuals. But if they feel abandoned, bitterness grows, and bitterness can slow down peace building. Now let's talk about the long-term effect of the government reaffirming that repentant fighters will not join the military. That decision protects military morale. Soldiers on the field want to know the government has their back They want to know the uniform is not being shared with people who once endangered their lives. It also sends a message internationally that Nigeria is cautious and responsible when it comes to national security. But at the same time, the government must handle the reintegration program in such a way that it truly prepares those individuals for civilian life. They need skills training, mental health support, and supervision so they do not slip back into harmful behavior. This is where the 6 billion naira conversation becomes important. People want assurance that the money is being used effectively. To bring this whole gist into focus, the real question now is, what is the best way to build lasting peace in the Northeast? Is it through strict military action only? Is it through reintegration programs, or is it a combination of both? Most experts say it's a combination, but the combination must be fair, transparent, and community-driven.